It's another edition of the Agents of Inclusion podcast brought to you by Special Olympics and Odyssey. I'm JR from the JR Sport Brief Show on CBS Sports Radio, and every Wednesday we drop a new episode highlighting how we can utilize sports to be more inclusive and bring us together. Make sure you subscribe so you're introduced to new athletes and stories when we drop them every week. For this episode, we're going to Northern Virginia to connect with someone who started off as an athlete and became an employee of Special Olympics in its communications and Unified Champion Schools program. His participation spans more than 25 years. He was even encouraged by late Special Olympics founder Eunice Kennedy Shriver to contribute as an artist as well. Let's check in with a man of many talents, Bobby Jones, on how he got started with Special Olympics, earned a job with them, and what else he does for fun. It's another edition of the Agents of Inclusion podcast, and for today's episode, we're going to Northern Virginia. We're going to check in with someone who's a Special Olympics athlete, started that way, and is also an employee for Special Olympics, working in its marketing and communications division. It's my main man, Bobby Jones. Bobby, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for taking the time to hop on. I guess the very first question is, how did you get started with Special Olympics? What was your introduction?
I got started actually in Massachusetts, and I originally went to a school called Riverview, which is a school for people with disabilities, and uh, so we were like literally just up the street from the compound. But the way that I started is that they had a program where they were doing basketball, and so I joined the basketball team, and I did it for a while, and then I moved to the northern part of Virginia, where actually I am now, and I was able to get with Special Olympics Virginia, and I was able to get into volleyball, and I did volleyball for 6 years. So that kind of took me into doing other sports, but that's basically how I kind of began.
That's cool. So basketball, volleyball, what are some of the other sports you've competed in?
I did basketball, volleyball. I've done floor hockey. I've done skiing for quite a while and bowling.
Wow, you keep him busy, and you haven't just participated in these sports. You've also had some success at them. What type of medals and hardware do you have stashed away, man?
I got a couple gold and a couple silver. Not gonna be too shy about that, but it's all good.
So, what has the experience been like? Because not everybody participates in Special Olympics and walks away with medals. What has the overall experience as an athlete been for you? What has been the most rewarding part of it?
I think the most rewarding part was I did unified softball for quite a while, and we were actually able to go to the '99 World Summer Games in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, this was we were the very first team to actually go to '99 World Summer Games, and so that was a great experience, just kind of being there and kind of being caught up in the middle of it and walking through the tunnel and kind of seeing everybody cheering for you. And, usually you see that in sports teams. You usually don't see that too much with people with disabilities, but I kind of feel like, for one night, it was definitely a transforming moment because yeah, and I kind of feel like sometimes there's things that lots of people that, just like athletes that, they're not able to see that sort of thing. But to experience it like we did and to kind of like just kind of walk through the tunnel and kind of march in with the athletes and have everything set up. I mean, it was just like a kind of like a Super Bowl. um, Maybe that's kind of a loose term, but I mean, it was kind of it kind of felt like that because it's like one night where people with disabilities can come together and they can interact with each other and also just kind of learn from experience and that sort of thing. So
I don't think it's out of the realm of saying it's like a Super Bowl because it's an experience that anybody, well, first of all, anybody should be able to just be able to go out and play sports. and to have announcers and pomp and circumstance, man, I think that should be more normal than it already is. And so with all of the sports that you've played and you talked about that experience out in Raleigh, where are some of the other places participating in Special Olympics has taken you? Any other parts of the country or the world?
You mean just like working for Special Olympics or just doing sports?
It could be working, it could be sports, anything.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to New Mexico, been to Europe twice, California a couple times, New Jersey. So I've been kind of all over pretty much.
And you talk about the work that you've done for Special Olympics. I mentioned earlier on working in with the marketing and communications team. My understanding is you've been a part of the organization in that capacity since 1997. How
Yeah.
did you how did you transition from just playing in Special Olympics as an athlete to being an employee? How did that work out?
Um, it was it was interesting because it kind of showed a different side of Special Olympics to me, in a way of me being an athlete, but also kind of learning, you know, being on the field and doing sports, but then also being behind the scenes and kind of see the work that it takes in order to, um, you know, to um, just kind of get an idea of what other people do in order to, like a World Games or a USA Games. Everything that's done behind the scenes, lots of people don't see, and so it's kind of an opening experience for sure.
Talk about how important it is just for anyone to have the opportunity. So it's one thing for Special Olympics to give people the ability to and the capacity to play sports. It's
Right.
another thing to help open up a window for people to work, whether they work at Special Olympics like you, or they're at a grocery store, or they're at a mall. How important is it for anyone with on any level of ability just to be able to work and make a living?
It's very important. I feel that with Special Olympics, um, they are very understanding about certain things. To like, if you're in a different type of job or like a regular type of job, they might not understand people with disabilities. To where Special Olympics, they understand that. So if something happens or you're late or something like that, you kind of don't get really fined for it, but they know that they take that into consideration because they have understanding of what people with disabilities have, and sometimes depending on where they're coming from and stuff like that, it it takes a while to get there. Like for me, when I go into work, it takes me an hour and a half. So I mean, and they're understanding about that. So if I'm not there exactly at 8 o'clock, they're not going to freak out and say, "Well, why isn't he here to do this?" And it's what also was like that during the pandemic too for 2 years. So, it's just one of those things where I think that it's very important for the most
There's
part. So,
there's an understanding there. I think that's what anybody would want. Tell us a little bit more about your role specifically. What do you do for your job in the marketing and communications department?
well, actually, I'm working in the Unified Champion schools,
Okay.
and so we work with the schools and we teach them about unified sports, but we also teach them and educators about people with disabilities and the students that don't have disabilities. We um, try to teach them people with disabilities so that they have a better understanding. Um, and so I'm a coordinator for Unified Champion Schools, and so I work with the communications team, and I work with a whole bunch of really great coworkers, that that I work with, but I also have a newsletter that we put out. I'm do actually currently right now I'm doing interviews with all of our staff, and so that actually goes into the newsletter just to kind of teach. We work with the public of education, and so the newsletter is just to kind of inform people about like who we are and what we do. And the interviews that I'm doing are to teach um, the people that get the newsletter, uh, just like who we are, like if they email us, just so they have a name with a face, basically.
I understand that, man. Well, that sounds like they got you busy at Special Olympics, man. There's always something to do, right?
Oh yeah, I've been there a long time, so
And I also understand for all of the work and things that you've done, you are heavily invested into arts. You have helped develop some logos and specs. How did you get involved in that, man? Did you sit down and you start sketching out? What drove you to the arts?
actually, I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. I took a course out there, and so I actually how this all kind of started is back in 1997. I got a request from Mrs. Shriver, and she told me that she wanted a design for her camp that she has, and she didn't exactly say what it was. And so I was able to make a Camp Shriver logo, and so I was able to make it just like really, it's real basic. It has like the different sports across, it has the squares, and it says Camp Shriver around it. It's like a real nice logo. And so since then, I've been doing stuff. I've been doing stuff for celebrities. I did stuff for a couple of WWE superstars. I've done stuff for Maureen McCormick, aka Marsha Brady. Um, and so people like them. I did actually pins. I've done coloring books for the 50th anniversary of Special Olympics. So I mean, I've done lots and lots of different things, and I kind of feel like if um, I mean, I'm thinking that's gonna probably be my legacy if I ever decide, if it comes to a point where I can't be around anymore. But I think that's hopefully that'll definitely hold some bear.
Well, what has art done for you? I haven't sat down and colored in a long time, but when I used to, it's pretty relaxing. So how is art a form of expression or relaxation for you? What does it do for you?
When I do art, it kind of makes me feel like I'm just not thinking about anything. I mean, it's kind of like I just start drawing and I don't have anything in mind. There's nothing to really kind of follow. There's no pattern or anything like that. I kind of feel like I just start drawing and just kind of throw out ideas, and I get all these different things that turn out really good, and lots of people like them, and they've been used for different situations and different events and all that. And yeah, so it's I think it's like I said, I think it's something that I'll always kind of be remembered for. But at the same time, I like it because I've done stuff for the Super Bowl. I've done like so many different things. I've been doing it for 24 years with Special Olympics. So for The Office, I also do the holiday cards. So I do holiday cards as well. So yeah, I'm all into art.
That's cool, man. So when you're not participating or helping as an athlete, when you're not working in the office with the communications, the newsletter, Unified Champion School, when you're not drawing and sketching and etching, what are some of your other hobbies, man? What keeps you busy?
I have done some not outside of Special Olympics. I've done martial arts for about 6 years. I made it up to a red belt, so that's an accomplishment in itself. So, but I just like to kind of relax and just kind of take it easy, and just kind of because I kind of feel like after a hard day at work, I just kind of feel like sitting on the couch and just take it easy. But I mean, I like just kind of seeing nature, kind of walking out, and um, just kind of being out in the sun and just kind of relaxing and that sort of thing.
You you're a
Downtime, I guess you can say.
you're a man of many talents. We gotta go back to the martial arts, man. On one hand, you said, and I watch martial arts, I haven't competed, but you say you relax and you chill, but then you got a red belt. So
Right.
what drew you towards martial arts, man? That's some dedication. What was the attraction
Um,
there?
yeah, I mean, I did it. Um, a little bit through high school, and I just kind of liked it because I kind of felt like I was able to, um, kind of meet other people and kind of just get a lot of exercise and stuff like that. And I have to say, I think it kind of like I want to say like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just because they're like into martial arts and stuff. But um, I don't know. I just kind of always was interested in that side. Of course, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, all those famous martial arts type of people. But um, yeah, I mean, I always liked doing it. I did pretty well with it. I really enjoyed it, and also with Special Olympics, they also have judo. I never tried judo, but I always kind of wanted to, but I just didn't want to get hurt.
I hear that, man.
So,
What I listen, there's a reason why I haven't participated in martial arts. I think I'm a little too lazy, and I don't know if I want to take some of the falls every now and then. I think I'm going to stand upright.
well, the guy our instructor that we had, he was a Green Beret in the Korean Army. So, I mean, he was teaching us literally authentic type of martial arts, just not like, you kind of go to a class and there's like an American guy there. I mean, this guy was like a Green Beret. He was in the Korean Army and he did all this stuff. So, I mean, he was like a, a real type of,
No,
um,
he was no joke. Let's put it that
yeah.
way. He was.
And he worked us hard too. I mean, he's just like, he does have us do like push ups with our knuckles instead of just like with our hands. So, I mean, it was not an easy thing. So,
Oh, I'm too lazy for all of that, Bobby. Well, it seems like you're a man of expression, whether it's through martial arts or whether you're drawing. And you talked about how this has helped you kind of meet folks and be more outgoing, etc.
yes.
What advice would you give to anyone who feels just shy? What advice would you give to them about opening up?
Um, I would say just find a passion that you like, and if you're able to have, to get other people involved, I think that you can meet people that way. But I also think that just kind of work with your passion and whatever it is you're doing, like if whether it's drawing or anything, you can maybe kind of like use Facebook or something in order to kind of put it out there just so people can kind of see it and comment on it. But I don't know. That's just my outlook on
Oh,
it.
it sounds no, it sounds like a good outlook to me. I mean, the first step of not being shy, you said it. You got to find your passion. You got to find something that you enjoy, and then you got to find similar people who enjoy that same thing. And so I think that's great advice. What I also think is pretty cool is your work with Unified Champion Schools, because I've had a chance to go all over the country and connect with colleges, universities, high schools about the benefit of allowing everybody just to go out and play sports, people with and without disabilities, of all abilities. What do you tell schools, or what would you tell anyone about the benefits of the Unified Champion Schools program? What would you share about it? What makes it so great?
I think what makes it so great is that they're trying to change the way that people that don't have disabilities look at people that do have disabilities. For instance, like um, when I was going to school, they didn't have anything in place. I mean, it was just kind of like, um, you had you at that time there was nobody learning about people with disabilities. Now it's kind of changed, but when I was going to school, I mean, I was never really kind of treated that well. School is not all that kind to me, so um, I kind of feel like if I'm able to kind of help people change their mind in a way of the way that students look at people with disabilities, and I think lots of students now they kind of realize that people with disabilities are just like everybody else. They just, you know, need they shouldn't be judged just because they might look different or act different or something. But we still can do whatever everybody else can do. It might just take us a little bit longer, or might have to figure out another way around it. But I mean, we still get stuff done.
Very well said. We still get stuff done. You're gonna have to put that on a t-shirt and a button and sell that. We still get stuff done. You gotta mock that up, man.
Yeah, yeah. I come up with all kinds of different things, and I've been really good with stuff like that. So
Nah, we get stuff done. I like that. I'd walk around with that t-shirt every day, all day. Man, you've accomplished so much. You help out so many people with the messaging. You do so much for yourself as well. What's next? What's something that you haven't done that you want to kind of maybe dip your toe into? What's another goal that you want to accomplish or something you want to try?
well, I was gonna say before I am gonna answer that, but before that, I was gonna say also on the non-sport side is that I've also been involved with the Athlete Congress, the Global Messenger, and also Athlete Input Council. And so these are different programs that they have in place with Special Olympics where, like the Athlete Congress, it's just like a regular Congress. I mean, athletes literally vote on different things that they want for their state. And so they and so they come up with like different items and then they talk about it and then they vote and all that stuff. So I mean, there is also kind of like a non-sport side um, that I think is just as powerful, especially like when I don't know if you ever heard an athlete, do public speaking, but um,
Plenty of I've sat right next to athletes at public forums and speaking, and it's powerful, man. I always appreciate the fact that people. I love for anybody to get an opportunity and a chance. It doesn't matter who you are and where you come from, and it's powerful, man. It really is.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I think that if I feel like if you get to the point where not that you don't want to do sports, but you kind of um, aren't able to do sports anymore, and kind of like transitioning to like a non type of sports. That's always a good thing because I kind of feel like because we people with disabilities they talk to like different companies and they talk to different schools, and I kind of and when people are talking it's a very powerful thing because they're talking about their experiences within Special Olympics. So it's not just like, hey, my name is so and so. They kind of like literally lay into what their experiences with Special Olympics is and stuff like that. And to answer your question, actually, I guess the next thing that I'm trying to do right now is to be a Sergeant Shriver International Global Messenger, possibly. So I've been
Wow.
working towards that. That would be a good goal for me. Um,
And so that I'm trying to add just make some common sense here. That would
yeah,
take the work that you've already done as an ambassador, et cetera, to a global stage.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, good deal. I can make a few things make sense. I appreciate that. And so ideally, if you were to have that role, where would you want to visit? Where would you want to speak? Where would you want to talk and help inspire people? We got a big old planet. Where would you want to go?
Well, I think what I would want to do is, depending on, I mean, I would like to speak at a World Games, kind of like what Mrs. Shriver did, um, in that type of sense. It could be overwhelming just because it would be like a first time, but I kind of feel like you have to have a first time in order to get through, right? So you got to start somewhere. So I figure, that might be a good spot possibly to start, but um, maybe like going to maybe different chapters like around the US and just kind of do talks and just um kind of talk talk to maybe like Special Olympics Georgia or something just to kind of um talk about my experiences with Special Olympics, how long I've been there, just kind of like I'm doing now basically.
Well, listen, man, Bobby, let's wrap it up for everybody who's listening right now. You have so many experiences as an athlete, as an employee, as an ambassador, just as a human being. What would you say the ultimate benefit is of Special Olympics? Why is Special Olympics great for society?
Special Olympics is great because everybody has something in common no matter where they are. um Disability might be a little bit different, but I kind of feel like with athletes, there's an understanding whether you're in the US or you're in Africa or anything, I kind of feel like there's always a connection between athletes because they always have a um, they always understand each other, and acceptance to where I don't think like other organizations are like that. And I kind of feel like like if I went to say London, you know, I think I would be able to fit in because I mean, if I work with other people from London that have disabilities, I think it would be like a connection because you automatically have the same thing, but um, there's always something there. Even if the disability is different, you still have like some type of connection to where it's like, oh, okay, I understand why you're kind of doing it this way instead of this way. I don't know if that makes sense, but
It's all about community, man. It's all about
yeah,
community. And I think it's so cool that that's something that you've been able to foster as you participate in Special Olympics and as you're an advocate and a messenger and so many great things. Bobby, I appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story, man. I gotta check out more of your art, man. I've seen a few pieces. I gotta check it out extensively.
yeah, you have to check them out. I got a whole bunch of stuff laying around, but yeah, I've done lots of different things. So thank
No
you so
doubt.
much for having me.
Absolutely. When I get up to DC, man, I'm gonna have to check out the office. We've been having a conversation here with my main man, Bobby Jones, athlete and employee, and just overall good dude and artist from Special Olympics. A big shout out and thank you to Bobby for sharing your story. It's amazing how you can take your passion and turn it into something like a career. I need to talk to Bobby separately for some art tips. If you'd like to support anyone trying to turn their passion into their purpose, go to specialolympics.org to see how you can get involved, playing, volunteering, coaching, and more. There are events all year round, all over the world. Go to specialolympics.org to find out more. I'm JR from CBS Sports Radio, and this is the Agents of Inclusion podcast brought to you by Special Olympics and Odyssey. New episodes drop every Wednesday, but don't just follow and subscribe. Embrace others, help folks out, and be inclusive.